Hey everyone, we're here today with Paul Chek and the CHEK Institute. Paul, nice to see you.
Thank you, buddy. Great to see you.
Awesome to be here.
Thanks.
We're up in heaven here in Escondido, and we just wanted to talk a little bit about my company, The Flavor Chef, and thebrothery.com, where we make and sell and distribute our beautiful bone broth, and talk a little bit about how I got it all started. So I met Paul back in 2006. A gentleman who was working with us at the time came and said, "Hey, can you help us, do a retreat, HLC 2 or 3 retreat?" And as they say, the rest is history. Darren and I were catering on site with Paul Chek and the CHEK Institute over in Vista, servicing a lot of their clientele, their HLC coaches, some of their top-level practitioners to this day, and we started to develop our food style.
Yeah.
So at the time, Paul Chek introduced me to the West A. Price Foundation, which is where really things started to change. And the book Nourishing Traditions was on the counter.
Yep.
So I picked that up. And, Paul gave me a couple of requirements. Basically, just eat real food.
Well, you've certainly come a long ways. Why don't you tell me something about the whole superfood concept now that you're suggesting earlier, as opposed to the superfood, i.e. I'm going to eat this thing and my whole life's going to change. You're sharing a beautiful concept, so I'd like to hear more about it.
Sure. Well, we were talking a couple different things. We're sipping on right now our little, this coconut, ginger, mint, lemon, and cayenne. It's nice digestive, of course made with the bone broth, all organic ingredients, and really delicious, huh?
Very good.
Awesome.
Extremely.
Cheers.
I feel a great sense of calming. Almost like all my cells are going, yeah, baby, bring it on.
Nice.
Good stuff. The kind of sense you should get when you're eating food that many people don't get.
Right.
Which is why they keep eating more and more and more and trying to fill themselves with other things. Oftentimes the urge for, the cell's need for nutrition is fed to us through our instincts, right? Like if you eat something that lacks salt, you could say that your cells want that mineral content that's missing. So instinctually we want salt. And when we eat real food, I'm not talking about real food as in a carrot on the plate. I'm talking about food that's grown in organic soil and has real nutrition in it. If you take it into your body and you just sit with it and relax and see what's happening inside of me, it's almost as though there's a sense of ease or awe. Like if you're hungry and you're waiting for food to show up and all of a sudden the food shows up, something feels happy. Excuse me, when our body really has nutritional needs that aren't being met.
Sure.
There's a perpetual sense of almost urgency that ultimately ends up in people reaching for things that they're conditioned to reach for. But what I love about your broth and about all foods of high quality is that if you pay attention to what's happening when it comes into your body, you can feel the nutrition in the food. So the same way if you get salt on your food, there's no longer any urge for salt. You have that satiation, right? And what's important for me as a therapist, who has a lot to do with feeding people, as you know, is that many of the people that come to see me for help have mental emotional problems or performance challenges as athletes. And they don't understand oftentimes that as we become more and more intellectually endowed, right, we have so many things that we're thinking about. We're dealing with this software, this computer, this new technology, running your business. We get to the point where our heads lift up off of our bodies. And you can see that, for example, in people who will be at a computer working for hours and hours at a time and suppress the urge to go to the toilet. So they stop peeing and they stop pooping. And they forget to eat, right? So their head really lifts off from their body, and the body now becomes separate from the brain in the sense that the instincts to go to the bathroom, to rest, to drink water, to move our bodies, and all the things that are essential for our overall health have been suppressed. But when you take real food in, or real nutrition in, it reintegrates the head and the body, because the head becomes aware. Wow, you know, the same person who's used to drinking Coca-Cola, if you handed them that cup and said, take a taste of that, but tell me how you feel after you drink it, would bring their intellectual sense that was on the computer back down into their body and have a sense of satiation, because it might be the first time in years they've eaten real food with real nutrition. So the key point I'm making is that when we literally and legitimately feed the cells of our body, our brain becomes aware that our needs are being met. And much of what drives that intellectual mind to constantly pursue things, whether it be cookies, sports foods, performance bars, more achievements, those urges often now become calmed. And the reason is because the body is the brain. And the brain and the ego live inside the body. So if the body is nourished, then the cells no longer are sending fear messages to the brain. I mean, honestly, think how often the average person's body says, I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. And even though they're eating, you know, how many loaves of bread do you have to eat to get even what's in 1 teaspoon of this? It's not even comparable. So the body that's constantly hungry is sending messages to the same person who has got a head over here and a body over here, but the head does not interpret the message as, I'm hungry for bone broth, or I'm hungry for, you know, raw cheese, or I'm hungry for real food. It thinks I'm hungry for more Coke so I can keep my head separate from my body.
Yeah.
So when the cells are happy, the brain's happy. When the cells in the brain are happy, the emotions become stable. And when the brain, body, and emotions are stable, the intellect becomes stable, and people find that their mind's not jumping all over the place, which is a massive problem with kids. Kids fed this stuff would be different kids.
Absolutely.
Straight up. We'd have a different world.
And mine is. One thing, you know, you mentioned a couple times already, and I will say, you know, we at the brothery.com, you know, we basically say we don't sell medicine, we sell food. And when you're eating food on a cellular level, your body instantly recognizes it as food. I mean, so many of the things we see out there with all, you know, we talk about it and how to eat, move, and be healthy, and right from the very beginning, you know, and you're putting, you know, food that doesn't have you know, in your body, and your body again can respond to it on that level. We see, you know, again, we were talking a little bit about the superfood trend of bone broth, and you know, I've had this trademark since 2008. It says broth is good for you, promotes a healthier you. I didn't say broth is good for you, it's the only thing you can eat. It promotes a healthier you, because when people are drinking bone broth, and especially my certified organic bone broth, you know, and things like that, and eating real food, it becomes part of their everyday activity. It becomes part of who they are as people. Yeah. And these people can connect. These people that are taking time to exercise, meditate, doctor diet, doctor quiet, doctor happy, doctor exercise, seeing the 4 doctors we have, and integrating that into their lifestyle. It helps promote that, as you were saying, because it works as a food. And the satiation point I want to mention as well, some of the people coming out are saying, yeah, we have this bone broth diet. It is very satiating. So in the original documents and some of the inspiration from Weston A. Price and Dr. Pottinger were, it is a protein sparer. And truthfully, we just had our bone broth analyzed by a lab. 10 grams of protein per serving. Yeah. So it's a decent amount of protein in each cup. Yeah. And you know, in sourcing the bones for this as well. Like I said, we just achieved. We're very happy. We got our organic certification, USDA. We're ready to release a new packaging with our new label on it, and it's very important to us, especially right now. And here again, we're here today to tell people, look, we've been doing this since 2012 in markets, bringing in this food, this real food source and real health to people. And we've had tremendous feedback from people just like that. You know, people who are saying, you know, it's helped me change my life, helped heal my leaky gut. help me feel better. And we recommend to them, yeah, you should be working with a nutritional counselor, someone who understands whole food therapy, someone who understands what the real food movement is all about. So,
well, one of the things I want to share, with the broth, because we recommend your broth all over the place, and a number of, there's a lot of CHEK practitioners now that have babies, and they use broth with their babies.
yeah.
And I think it's fantastic because broth can be used for mothers who are coming off of breastfeeding, and broth can be mixed with other things, and it can be, very nourishing, extremely nourishing for children as a replacement to milk in that transitional state.
Yep.
It's broth is something that's very good. I work with I have a number of young people as clients that are college age and high school age, and many of them throughout my career have been in families that are not health oriented. For example, I've worked with a lot of childhood prodigy athletes who might be golfers or hockey players, but oftentimes, though they're shall we say elite childhood athletes, whether they be figure skaters, I've worked with a ton of them, oftentimes they're in families that are really living kind of the traditional conventional style, and it's only when they come to me and the child's got some kind of a problem that they realize they need to make these changes. But to get parents to make, the kind of transition we would like them to make is often unrealistic because they're very rooted in their eating behaviors and the psychology of their eating and the ease of packaged foods and microwave foods. So for me, using your broth is very, very important because it is something that anybody can add to something. You can use it in so many ways. You can make a soup base out of it. You can use it in a gravy. It's a very, very versatile product, like a stock, right? It's the basis of many things. And so for me, it's a fantastic food and a fantastic product that you've made because it's extremely versatile. And it also, broth comes from bones, so there's a lot of bone nutrition. There's mineral nutrition in there. And we don't have a very good nutritional profile for our bones, meaning that most of what people when you look at the fact that one of the highest correlations found in a study in New Zealand between osteoporosis in women was the consumption of soda pop and the levels of phosphorus in their bodies. And so what you see is when people are eating too much sugar and have too acidic a diet, the body actually has to take the
steal the minerals.
Well, it has to steal the calcium and the minerals from the body to neutralize the acids and the phosphorus that people are bringing in. So my point is that even somebody on a traditional diet who only added bone broth is adding something so elemental to their basic physiology. Minerals are hormone regulators. Bones need specific bone nutrition, and there's no better place to get it than from bones.
Sure.
The body takes, research shows, for example, that if you eat the adrenal glands of an animal, or any gland, using radio markers, they can track it. And they found, clear as a bell, Royal Lee did some of these studies, that if you eat the adrenal glands of an animal, it ends up right in your adrenal glands.
Smart food.
Well, the point is the body does not do unnecessary work to take a molecule that already fits and use it somewhere else, right? If I gave you, if you had a Mexican paver or a Mexican style roof on your house and I had a bunch of those tiles left, it would fit right on your roof. You wouldn't melt them all down and crush them all down and try to make clay out of them and start again. So when the body gets nutrition like this, it's the molecule's already very close to what the body needs. So the body can put it right where it needs it very quickly. And broths typically have a lot of cartilaginous elements in them. And cartilage has a natural form of glucosamine in it. And research shows that when people are showing signs of joint health problems, and often are given glucosamine sulfate, that really all you've got to do is go eat cartilage and things like bone broth or jello gelatin,
Sure.
which broth has in it.
Sure.
So the key point that I want to make here is that the research shows that a lot of people's joint problems are actually not because they've been abusing their joints, but because the liver needs the sulfate molecule for the detoxification process, and if a person's not getting it in its diet, then the body will then go start metabolizing its own cartilage, which leads to degenerative changes in joints.
Wow.
So I tell people, don't buy glucosamine sulfate. They just made it out of the damn cartilage from the animals in the slaughterhouse, and you don't know how, you know, that could be the worst animals in the world. But bone broth has all that stuff right in it. So not only is it good for your bones, not only is it good for your health, but it's also a great aid for your joints and your detoxification pathways because the cartilage has sulfate molecules in it. So there's so many benefits to what is really a very simple but very, very powerful food.
Yep.
And of course, why don't you tell us a little bit about your cooking methodology?
Sure.
So we can understand, you know, maybe the nuances of why your broth might be different.
Yeah, well, again, we right now we just manufacture chicken bone broth, and we did that, of course, because it was most easily accessible. We source our chickens certified organic and higher from Mary's Chicken in Northern California, and we have a large amount of feet and to backs in the product itself. We've actually we remanufactured it a couple different times. We've lowered the amount of water to increase the nutrient density. We do get a lot of gelatin and collagen in our product, which again is immediately bioavailable when people drink it. We have found, I mean, the process we use, we have a pretty not so much proprietary. It's actually fairly traditional method of doing it. We did settle on about 18-hour simmer. So we have a process of bringing the bones to simmer. We use a pretty large quantity of apple cider vinegar, and we use some fresh lemons as well to simmer the broth. And the acid in those do help to draw some of the minerals out of the bones. By the time we're done, we kind of have like a mineral elixir, a bone marrow elixir even too. We have kind of basically a mush. One thing we have found too, it is a process. We recommend, and I will be just a side note, I will be presenting a nice workshop in April at Paleo Effects with Dr. Kayla Daniel, and she's going to present the whys, and I'm going to present the hows. So it should be kind of fun. We'll talk about making the product. I'll have a PowerPoint, and we'll put this up on the flavorchef.com or the brothery.com, and we will show people how to make broth. We have found most of our clients tell us we love broth, we even love making broth, but sometimes we're really glad we don't have to. And truthfully, around it is hard to find good quality bones. We don't want to start with anything conventional because you're just not going to get the benefits from it. So we are now certified organic. We've been certified organic since 2012, thankfully as well. So everyone's been drinking our product, and rest assured it's organic. And in the future, we just started a relationship with an Arizona grass-fed beef farmer, and we're hopefully going to start doing some beef product there. One of the reasons we've never done beef is because it's a USDA inspected product. So our kitchen is certified by the California Department of Public Health to produce our product and ship it where we do. And so that's one thing we're going to do, and then we're going to bring some flavors out. Like we're going to bring out the coconut ginger lemon broth we've had, which is a lot of digestive practices in there. It'll be simple to consume, and we're also working on a really great thing. We're working on our new packaging will be less packaging, so we're going to save about 66% on the carbon footprint, and also we're going to be introducing a bulk label within the next 2 to 3 weeks, where people who are drinking a lot of it for specific reasons, working with their naturopathic doctors, their holistic health practitioners, etc., to get the product into them so we can lower the cost. And we're also going to be able to lower the shipping, all different things. We're really working hard right now to revamp this thing. Bone broth versus coffee and things. And, in New York, again, they made it, the New York Times can do anything they want to do, as you know. Marketing is marketing, and then back in November, they made it into a bone broth trend, and people drinking broth instead of coffee. It was kind of funny because they got all these New Yorkers, and they said New York's going to be drinking bone broth, and there was one guy selling bone broth out of his kitchen window in the East Village. Said, oh yeah, 12 million New Yorkers are going down there to get a cup of broth. But thankfully, again, what it did, it brought major awareness to this product and to what we're doing. And of course, there's a lot of startups right now, and that's fantastic. We always knew that chefs everywhere are making delicious broth, soup, stock, and now they know the health benefits. So it's all good. All really good stuff. Hey, we kind of coming close here, Paul. It's been real good pleasure. I want to let everyone know we do, for the CHEK practitioners out there, we're going to have a CHEK 10, CHEK 10 coupon code will be available for about 3 months. They get 10% off their order at thebrothery.com. Brothery.com, but with a new look and feel and easier checkout system. Always glad to be here with you guys and support Paul Chek and the CHEK Institute. Has been phenomenal for me and my business, and of course, good company is good company.
Well, phenomenal for me and my students as well. You know, it's the whole reason we started working with you from the very beginning, because we wanted not only nicely prepared food, but high quality food. And I'm sure that the number of CHEK practitioners out there alone is keeping you quite busy, because they're all very interested and motivated to buy good food. And you know, the word spreads and the snowball gets bigger and bigger. So
absolutely,
hopefully you're suited up to make lots of broth.
I am. And you know, I wanted to end by telling you too that, you know, Paul Chek taught me the most important trademark I have, which is that love is the ultimate spice. She is love right there, evolve, and the whole thing. And I tell you what, man, you know, one of my other favorite people, Jerry Garcia, said, you know, without love in the dream, it will never come true. Yeah. And Paul Chek's been love in the dream for me, and I'm glad to be sharing that with you.
Yes,
and
thank you.
Sharing it with our audience. So
I'm glad you're sharing all this, and as soon as we're done, I think I'm going to have some more. So
awesome.
Here we go.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Feel your way.